The information provided on this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your qualified health provider with any questions you may have. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. Reliance on any information provided here is solely at your own risk.
Welcome. This is Birth, Baby. Your hosts are Sierra Morgan and Samantha Kelly. Sierra is a birth doula, hypnobirthing educator, and pediatric sleep consultant.
Samantha is a birth doula, childbirth educator, and lactation counselor. Join us as we guide you through your options for your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum journey. Thank you to our listeners for your continued support. If you enjoy our content, please be sure to like, follow, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. This helps us gain visibility to other people that could benefit from listening in.
Hi, friends. We are back with Kim, and she is going to share what came next in her journey after the loss of her twins and where that process kind of took her as she was navigating her own grief and healing and what came next. So Kim, you wanna dive back in and tell us what came next for you?
Yeah, sure. So we were getting through the loss of our twins. It was probably about a year later. And we were done. I mean, had completed our family. And I had these 4 beautiful, wonderful births prior to that last birthing experience. And I felt like that was my last memory of birthing, was this having my twin girls and having this loss. So I was talking to some girlfriends, and one of them was like, why don't you carry a baby for someone else? Like, and then you could like help someone else, and then that would kind of heal you. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you carry? And I felt like, and she's like, oh, she saw it on some show or something. It was like, you could be a surrogate. And I was like, okay. So I started researching, what is a surrogate and what did that entail? And, just kind of dove right into that. So wasn't like new by any means by then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that was, 2011, 2012-ish. Wasn't new, but it wasn't nearly as mainstream as it is right now. And I just started looking into it, and so you could be a traditional surrogate where you use your own egg, or you could be a gestational surrogate where you're literally just the oven and just growing someone's baby and giving it back, when you're done. And I thought that's what I want to do. That's when I thought about all the leaving the hospital with no baby, and that happens to so many people. And I just felt so blessed that we had 4 children. Like, that's incredible to me that I was given that gift, So I was like, I want to help somebody else. So we found an agency and matched with a couple. We got the ball rolling with everything that entails.
Yeah. So that's like a whole IVF journey, which is something you haven't experienced either up to this point. How was all of that from someone who had never had to deal with that before?
Yeah, that was super eye-opening, right? Because infertility, like, that was something else. I think it's so wonderful that so many people talk about it now, but I didn't know so many people struggled with that. It wasn't, so that whole, they had their embryos made. It was 2 men, so they had an egg donor and they had embryos made, and I had, all the meds and everything. We did all the prep work. We had to go through legal and do all that kind of stuff. Right. But I should back up. Before all that, we had several meetings, and we met. They came to the house to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And
were they local people that you chose to match with?
They were in Texas, they were in Houston, so not very far. But they are amazing people, and we matched, and we had our embryo transfer and got pregnant with Haley, who is now 12
wow.
years. Yeah. And then that was that was going to be a one-time thing. That was my healing journey, and it was everything I wanted it to be. It's a wonderful pregnancy. I did get Bell's palsy 2 days before I delivered, so that still stayed with me. I was like, wow. Universe, like, this is not even my baby. You're going to give me this. So, but anyway,
a little present to remember them by.
But it was great. Like, the parents were so excited. They each had like a leg, and I'm looking at my husband in the delivery room, and he was the one that said, we have to do this again. I said, I know, because it was just amazing watching them become parents, And so it was supposed to be a one-time bucket list thing. That is not what happened.
Wow.
It was a couple.
You got to have the parents in the room with you, which not everyone choosing a surrogacy journey desires, but you were comfortable with that.
Yeah, they came to all the appointments. It was their pregnancy. It was their journey. I was lucky enough to be on it with them. But, they came to the ultrasounds. They put the ultrasound photos on their fridge, not me.
Oh.
They all those things,
Beautiful.
Yeah, I wanted, if they had wanted it, I wanted them to be able to see her take her first breath.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so cool. I love to hear that. Okay. And so then you had that one and said, yeah, let's go again.
I said, you know what, we could do that again. That was great. Let's do that again. And met with another amazing couple. The mom had carried their first daughter, wasn't able to carry again. And so she had that experience already. So this was a new experience for me too. And she was amazing. It was such a wonderful journey. So Luna was born, I told you I had to write this down. She was born in 2014. Okay. And so I was like, okay, like, this was so great. And they were local also. They were also in Texas. And we see them, they've moved now, but we talk often. I had these wonderful relationships and these wonderful pregnancies and journeys. And so we were like, okay, one more time. We'll do it one more time.
Yeah.
It's the famous last words of a surrogate. We always joke in the surrogacy community, like, this is the last one, I swear. And then they do another one. But I met an Austin, Texas couple, and they were, newly married and starting out. And I ended up delivering their daughter and then a sibling 2 years later.
Oh my gosh. But how special is that to be able to go through that with people from more than one? That's so amazing.
It's really, really great. They are an amazing family. And I feel so lucky to be so included in these families. Like, they have like a Google Drive where they share with their grandparents and aunts and uncles all the photos, and I'm on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel very connected, and they're great. And so that was going to be it. But then through my work, I worked for a local agency here in Austin, Texas, a surrogacy agency. And there was a couple that had multiple losses, very similar to the loss we had with our twins. But they had a loss with another surrogate. And I ended up matching with them. I thought it would kind of be a healing journey for me because they had the same kind of loss that I had, like a late-term loss. And so I did match with them, and we were able to get pregnant. They had gone through quite a few embryos, 13, to get with their first surrogate, and then a late-term loss. And so we did one embryo transfer it took, and the baby was born. He was my first C-section. He was giant,
oh my gosh,
almost 10 pounds, and had a prolapse cord. So I had an emergency C-section.
So that was your, what would that be? Your 8th pregnancy? 7th pregnancy?
It was 5th, 6th. That was my 10th.
10th pregnancy. Oh my goch. 9 vaginal deliveries and then a C-section.
Yeah.
Crazy.
His head just wouldn't quite come down there. And then the OB I had at the time ended up breaking my water and the cord prolapsed. And
wow.
So that was kind of a traumatic birth. I never had a C-section. It was an emergency C-section, but he was healthy, and that's all I cared about. He after that, it wasn't quite the same kind of journey. If we're being honest, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. I didn't have a great relationship with the parents. And so, but we had that, they did want a sibling. And so I should have thought a little harder, but I didn't. And I agreed to do one last journey for them with a sibling, but I miscarried that embryo.
Oh, wow.
16 weeks, the same age as their other surrogate miscarried, the same age as my own biological twins were. And I had to deliver that baby. And I feel like that just undid all of the healing that I did.
Yeah.
So that was really rough. They were very unsupportive during the delivery. I was just like, okay, like I had done all this, to heal my own birthing experiences. And then this happened again. And I just thought, like, gosh, what do I do now? I ended up parting ways. Like I said, it was not a supportive relationship. And I ended up matching one final time, my last surrogate baby, and he was delivered. He's almost 2. He was delivered in August of 2023, and it was everything that I needed it to be. And now I can officially say that
you're
I'm
really done. So that last one, was that a VBAC or was that a repeat cesarean?
Repeat cesarean. We tried to be back so much. I did all the things. He was breech. I must have been on my head for just weeks. We did everything you could do, right? All of the things.
Goes to show babies are going to do what babies are going to do. They don't care what we think.
They don't care. And I even did an external version, and he flipped right back. And then they did it again. Like we just saw him flip right back. And it turns out with good reason, because on the repeat cesarean, he had a double knotted cord over the knot.
Oh.
So he knew he didn't have any room left on his ropes. So he knew he wasn't going to flip. But he was delivered safely, and my healing was fine. And it was just a really great way to kind of wrap all the birthing experiences up.
So you've had the full gambit of all the birth experiences.
I have, yes.
That's amazing. So I know, your story kind of changed a little bit there as well while you were in the midst of those surrogacies. How was that with your own family, with your own kids? How did you approach surrogacy with them?
Yeah, so we just were very open with them. Again, they kind of understood the whole, birth experience, and that depending on the different scenarios with the parents, that either that maybe a mommy's tummy was broken and they just weren't able to carry the baby. So mama was like an oven, like the doctors were going to put the little baby in and I'd grow it and give it back. Mm-hmm. We also discussed that when men aren't able to grow their own babies, and so that I was going to help them just grow it and then give it back. Yeah. So, but we were also in the process of becoming foster parents.
Wow.
Some of these deliveries. And so with our older children, they really understood, I think, that families can be put together and made in a lot of different ways.
Oh my gosh. That's just so your kids have had just such a breadth of experience in the world. It's amazing. That's so cool. Okay. And we're going to talk about your foster journey as well, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to talk about that in our next episode, my friends. So please join us next week as we have Kim on again to talk about her foster journey and what that was like as she was going through surrogacy as well. Thank you, Kim, for joining us. This was so great.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Birth, Baby. Thanks again to Longing for Orpheus for our music. You can look him up on Spotify. Remember to leave a review, share, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. See you next week.